Health-wise, Braylon's in. Braylon's just seamlessly, in practice. So, more of Braylon Mullins tomorrow. Tarris game time decision to see how he's feeling. Shoot around day of game.
We'll jump right in, Joe.
Hey Dan, just curious. Obviously, the last time you went there, it seemed like the noise and everything kind of got to you guys early on. It took a little bit to settle in. Did you learn something from that game that you've told the team going into this one?
I could tell them how loud it's going to be, but there's very few places you play at, where it's anywhere near their level of atmosphere. Just, it's just so unique playing at Kansas. The places that you go and play at where they're so coordinated and they've got such tradition. Places like, Kansas, Duke, Cameron Indoor. There's certain places that you go and play, where the home team, has a major advantage just because of your inability to communicate, just how how difficult the environment is, how engaged the fans are, from the tip. I mean, they're loud, the entire game, not just, when the team's playing well, so they kind of, they make you play worse, as a road team. And then, they get their home team going too. So, there's communication things defensively, offensively that, we'll try to do. Haven't played there, but there's no simulating the actual environment because it's a rare place to play.
Thank you.
Go, Roger and Zags.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Dan, what would it mean to this team this year to become the first UConn team to beat Kansas after being 0-4 against them? Would it give you guys momentum?
It would be something. The one thing I've said to the team is, if the team hears so much when you play or coach at UConn, you hear so much about, past teams, past championship teams, the 04 team, the 99 team, the 25 team, or the 24 team, the 22. You hear nonstop about these teams. And, this year's group, this year's team has a chance to do something that, none of those great teams. Like, if you're tired of hearing about, Donovan Clingan and Steph Castle and Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton, and you're just like, if you're tired of hearing stories from your coach about what type of players and those players were and what types of teams those teams were, then, go do something that those teams didn't do. Start creating your own legacy as a team. Start building a resume as a team. If you're tired of me, talking about those teams with such great nostalgia.
And you mentioned Braylon. Has he looked really good in practice? You get the feeling he's ready to contribute now?
It's going to take Bray some time. Bray is dealing with basically missing just about 6 weeks and then being dumped into Illinois at MSG and Kansas on the road. So, we're just happy he's back on the court and start his season. He's going to be a major difference maker for us. I think offensively, obviously, he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Alex, off of Solo. He's going to get better shots for everyone just with his presence and his shooting gravity. So I just, this guy, he's going to need some grace here. But, that's it. Sorry.
Thank you.
He's just going to need a little grace.
Yep, thanks.
Give him a runway, to get himself going. It's not easy. He didn't get the exhibitions. He didn't get a whole lot of games under his belt. He's just been dropped right into the fire.
Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dan, with the mighty Big East Conference, the net rankings came out today. You guys are the only team in the top 20. I think there's 4 teams in the top 50, including Seton Hall, and then the next is Villanova at 64. How concerned are you about the overall performance of the Big East so far, and what do they need to do going forward? And also, second question, Coach Pitino has come out and said he'd like to see the Big East expand and add, Dayton and some other schools. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I guess on the first part, I'm rooting for every team in the league in every non-conference game that they're playing. I think that's, the way it's always been in the Big East. I remember, playing at Seton Hall for PJ, having a non-conference season. He was, getting scores, updates from managers and cheering or saying damn, as people were, because it's obviously it's in the best interest of all of us to win as many games as we can in a non-conference. So yeah, I think it's, we're basically around a little bit more than halfway through the non-conference slate, maybe around the halfway mark. So, just hopefully the league can finish up strong. I'm not really, concerned. We got off to a really tough start last year in the first half of the non-conference, and then we were able to come into the league. I think was a really good net, considering how it started in Maui. So I think there's time for all of us to finish strong. And then as far as the league expansion goes, relative to Dayton, I've got a lot of respect for Dayton. Dayton's got, they've got one of the best home courts. They sell it out every night. They've got a huge fan base and great tradition and history. Whether they're a good fit for the Big East or not, I'm not probably the right person to answer that question, but I got a hell of a lot of respect for the Dayton program.
I think Rick is concerned that if
Adam, we're going to move. I think we're going to go Kevin and Jaden. It's just not. We're talking about Kansas. We got limited time. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. Dan, no expansion questions, but Kansas has an awful lot of new players. I'm sure you've watched a lot of teams around the country. What you guys are dealing with right now, you guys being elite college coaches, is very different than how you constructed teams from 5 years ago, how you work teams up to speed. We know how you've done it with some leftovers, but what do you see when you see these opposing teams like a Kansas who's relying on so many new players, and yet it still does look like a Bill Self team?
Yeah, it's it's certainly different. You could see, having been somebody that's followed Kansas and and obviously has looked up to Coach Self as a model coach. You see the offensive, like the elements of the Kansas 2-man, or the angled post ups and some of the ball screen action. Some of the staples, but I think everything is just so different now than it was just 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm not we all have to adapt. But the days of like the skilled staff of having to evaluate a young player, see the talent, develop the talent, construct a roster with a vision years ahead of time, is, I don't want to say cheapened, but, it's changed to basically now where you could kind of just purchase a veteran ready-made team. So I think we're all just trying to adjust to, how we used to, build our teams, build our programs. It's a different craft, or it used to be a craft, and now it's, more of like a professional basketball roster building, like a G League, type of thing. So, I don't know if that answers it or if I just rambled like an idiot.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Jay.
Still reeling from Adam and Bobby here.
All right.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hey, Bob. What's up?
Not so much. Getting back to Braylon a little bit here. You talked about bringing him back almost similarly to how you brought Steph back. The difference is, though, that Steph had already played before he went out and then came back against Carolina. But similarity, having a lot of depth to insulate him. How grateful are you for that depth to where you can bring Braylon along and you don't have to throw him back into the fire, almost like you did last year with Liam when he came back from the ankle injury?
Yeah, I mean, they're like night and day situations for Liam and Bray, just in terms of, what they're returning to, what they have around them. He's insulated by obviously a lot of veteran players and a lot of talent, but also, a defense, a team that defends, team that, when we're healthy, when Tarris is healthy, feels like we're too deep at every position. So, yeah, I just think for Bray, he could, I don't think there's a ton of pressure on him the way there was for Liam to kind of, come back and, and have to get 20 a game. I think he's going to certainly get to the point where he's going to be having some explosive nights, and, he's going to be a go-to guy for us on offense. But, he's got a runway here where, he could just try to get his feet under him, be a two-way player, get a feel for what we're trying to do at both ends of the court. I mean, he missed critical time, and I just think he's got a group that's going to support his return well.
And a quick follow-up here on Jaylin and the experience that he had on Friday impacting the game, even if it didn't show much in the final box. He's always had a knack for big games on the road. At Marquette last year where he got off to the hot start. How much are you going to count on him tomorrow night with the matchup that Kansas represents and his experience playing in that environment? How crucial will that be?
Yeah, Jaylin's a gamer. He plays, he gets us off the fast starts. I mean, he's a guy early in games that makes shots for us. I think that he's an underrated passer. He's a really good passer. He's a smart player. It's a lot of hockey assists, a lot of passes that lead to something good. I just think for him, it's like the next step is, he's, we're getting those 7, 8, 9, 10-point games from him, but just seeing him put two halves together, and when we need him to get 16 or 17 from it, when we need 16 or 17 points from him, that's the next step I want to see him take here. Because that is the strength of this team. The strength of this team is, again, when all hands are on deck. You saw it with Malachi the other day. You've seen it with Eric Ryba. When Tarris is healthy, our sixth and seventh men have led us in scoring the last 3 games. So,
Thanks, Dan. See you tomorrow night.
See you, brother.
All right, we'll take the last couple from Mark and then Matt.
Hey, Dan, I have to ask you, and this has been a theme over the last couple of years, you're 330th in tempo. Do you think that and that's not a bad thing. I think it's you, Purdue, Houston are the 3 elite teams that are in that low 300s. Is that what makes these special teams, the title teams, and then eventually, hopefully, the team that we're seeing right now. How close are you on the offensive side to being that well-oiled machine that goes on these long runs and builds leads methodically?
Yeah, I think, well, first off, our biggest, but besides just getting the team healthy and, getting these guys on the court, I'd say our next biggest problem has been, being able to play with a lead, being able to play with a lead versus BYU, being able to play with a lead versus Illinois. We played well with a lead in those games. So, just stay aggressive without becoming reckless when you have a lead. I just think, when some of the things I think that are, hold us back, again, like getting Tarris in there and healthy, we start playing offense too much like a donut or a bagel, when without the center to throw it into in the roll game or the post-up game. So, getting that back and doing that more with Eric, I think is important. Getting Eric the ball in the post, just so we're more diverse. We have a good defense. I think the teams you mentioned are all really good on defense and execute offensively. So, I think we end up all three of those teams, I think, end up slowing the tempo down in games because it's hard to get a good shot against us. I think people play longer possessions of offense when they play against us or when they play against Houston or when they play against Purdue because there's three good defenses. I don't think any of the three programs give away a lot of possessions at either end. So, I remember when I was looking at, as we were heading into 23-24, I think, we'd always look at kind of Villanova and Jay, I think in Villanova was the premier program in the country. And, they were pretty slow in pace of play for the most part. They would just grind you up, make you work so hard on offense and defense. So we don't want to be 330. I think, we'd like to be 150, 175. I think we do. We got to get more out of our transition offensive game. But I say, once we get Tarris healthy and get Braylon comfortable with the depth, and getting the running game going, I think we could be a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense.
Appreciate it, Dan. Good luck.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Coach. You told Rob Doster of the Field of 68 about a conversation between Solo Ball and Ray Allen in the locker room after the Illinois game. I just wanted to ask, did you hear anything about that conversation from either party? What did that kind of mean for Solo?
Yeah, I think they're still in there. No, I think, it's like, with Solo, just, they're just the early start to the year. I think from the greatest shooter and maybe the greatest player in UConn history and 2-time NBA champion and one of the greatest shooters in history of the game. I just, like what, Ray, like what was your mindset when you were going through a tough stretch? And they spent quite some time. I mean, that's the thing about Ray Allen is, Ray is very generous with his time and not just, not when the cameras are around. There were no cameras around to put it up on Instagram. I mean, Ray hung out in there with him, and I know he's talking to Braylon and, and AK as well. But I think it was probably about, fundamentals, technique, short, having a short memory, next possession, but you probably have to grab Solo after one of these media things.
Yeah, awesome. And if I could just follow up on the Kansas side of things, I hope I'm getting his name right. Flory Badunga has been anchoring Kansas on both sides of the ball. What do you think about the matchup coming into the game with probably working his way back Tarris and then obviously Ryba?
Yeah, guy's a monster in the most complimentary way in terms of his rebounding and his finishing around the basket and his athleticism and his length, his shot blocking, his ability to get to his right shoulder when you're trying to take away his right shoulder. He reminds me of Adama in a way, even though they're different type of players. I mean, they're different. One's righty, one's lefty, but it just seems like the guy just wants to dominate around the basket. And he wants to eat the glass, and he wants to, to finish in the paint at the rim, and he's content to be a dominant player around the basket. And he's relentless, and he jumps so quick. So, I think it's a great challenge, for a young Eric Ryba and a less than 100% Tarris Reed and an undersized Dwayne Caroma.